It's time to demand more from your hose, to flow more water with less weight, to get more maneuverability with less bulk. It's time to attack hard, smarter. To get 2.5-inch flows with a 2-inch hose engineered for high volume, low pressure attacks. For high flexibility and low kink. For high durability and low friction loss. It's time to advance the line, to innovate, to evolve. It's time to fight the fire, not the hose. It's time for the KrakenEXO Super 2, the most advanced 2-inch attack hose.
And we're live.
All right.
Jamie, how are you, brother?
Doing real good. Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us. Rob, as always, thank you, brother.
Jamie, thank you.
Good to
Guys,
have you
welcome.
guys here.
FDIC 2022, National Fire Radio, collaboration with Mercedes Textiles. We're here for a big day today for you guys.
Absolutely.
You know, partnerships is what makes things happen. And for us to work with Mercedes was an absolute honor, and we were very proud to be here today to bring forth the message of Mercedes and help you with the launch of your new KrakenEXO Super 2.
Well, we appreciate it, and you hit on a key word, relationships.
Yeah.
We are relationship-driven people as well.
100%.
Yep.
I remember this trip up to New Hampshire when you and Lydia got a hold of me and said, hey, come up and see what this is like.
Yep.
And see if we can do something. And it's been off to the races ever since
Absolutely.
then.
So the beautiful thing about this today is we're going to launch and talk about the KrakenEXO Super 2. It's your new 2-inch hand line that's hitting the market today.
Yes.
It's being unveiled.
It's the official launch today.
Absolutely. So I would say if you're catching this live stream now, if you're watching, thank you for tuning in. If you're in Indy or at FDIC, come over to booth 4950. Come see us live today. We're going to be streaming today right now until about 12:30, and then we're going to come back at 3 o'clock with Ray McCormick, and we're going to talk everything engine company and talk about hose and stretching and so on. So it's going to be a great day, full lineup. We're looking forward to it. But Jamie Emblem, I want to talk to you about Mercedes. Let's talk about the company, the culture, the innovation. Talk to me about the company and what you guys bring forth.
Absolutely. So we're proud Canadian manufacturer right from Montreal. 3 major facilities, all in the Montreal area. Our roots are really simple. They're blue collar. We really are a very tight family. With all due respect, we're not owned by a large conglomerate. We can manufacture, innovate, and that's really a large part of our success is we're people person.
Yeah.
We're relationship driven, and like I said, I can't say enough. We are a blue collar company,
And I think
all the way.
when you go into that aspect of being a blue collar company, one of the cool things is when you find an issue, you don't have to get approval. You answer to yourselves and the customers, so you're able to do that and take that innovation to the firefighters and to the citizens. So
Yes.
it's kind of a home run there. So
Everyone's got titles, but no one has titles. I mean, if you call Mercedes today, you can probably talk to the president. You can talk to the vice president. We're proud of that.
Yeah.
We're very customer service oriented, and we're great listeners. We're great listeners, and that's a testament to this new product that we're about to introduce today.
Absolutely. We're going to hop in a little bit with Kevin and Dave to talk about the specifics of the Super 2. But in line with Mercedes Textiles and the company that you are, innovation is very important to you. Firefighter safety is very important. Innovation, let's talk about the one thing that sticks out in my mind about Mercedes is your couplings.
Yes. So I always say, if you come to Mercedes, which hopefully you guys will have the opportunity, we have this amazing boardroom. And on this boardroom, there's patents all over the wall. Various things, including the patented way out coupling, if you will. But you hit it, firefighter safety. Everyone is familiar with our way out couplings. And that was one of those things that, why didn't I come up with an idea like that? And it's simple, it's easy. When you spec Mercedes Textiles hose, you're not paying anything extra for those way out safety couplings. We always say, hopefully you never have to use them, but if you do, they're there.
Right.
And like I said, it's a specifiable feature on our couplings, which, by the way, Mercedes manufacturers, we're the only manufacturer when it comes to fire hose that manufactures both the hose and couplings under one roof.
Which is super important to point out because you control then the quality, the QC of the product from soup to nuts. The coupling
Absolutely.
through the fabric to the other coupling.
Absolutely.
I love it.
So we could take a coupling, manufacture it to a standard. Most of the time it's a factory mutual, FM. We can take a hose like the Super 2 or the EXO product, the KrakenEXO, which is a UL listed premium product. The ability to manufacture both the coupling and the hose, assemble it, couple it, test it under one roof, you can't beat that.
Yeah, and for projects especially, we'll dive into the Super 2, but it makes it so much easier to kind of take that innovation to the next level because you're controlling every aspect of it under your own house.
We are a proud manufacturer. We don't subcontract anything. Everything is manufactured under the Mercedes roof. That's cool stuff.
So the coupling, I love it because it's really a standout item for Mercedes. When you're looking at hose beds, I mean, we're apparatus guys. We go out into the field, right? We love equipment. We love to see innovation of what people are doing on their fire apparatus. So kind of like looking at the back end of the apparatus. And to see that standout coupling zeroes you right into the Mercedes brand.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Let's talk about a couple other things that Mercedes does too, right? So
Yeah.
you guys have the Mertex lining,
Yes.
breather technology. These are all big terms, but let's simplify it. Talk to me about it.
Well, listen, one thing I didn't say is we've been manufacturing fire hose for over 45 years.
Okay.
Bob Richardson, the president of Mercedes, he's spent a lifetime manufacturing fire hose. But what makes us unique, I always say, if you're going to remember one thing about Mercedes, it's our core lining technology. It's called Mertex, and what we do differently than anyone else, we extrude that liner directly onto the textile. It won't delaminate. It's guaranteed for life against delamination. But some of the other huge advantages it brings as well is low friction loss. Like I said, it's inseparable, so you never have to worry about delamination.
Right.
And the other big thing too is what we did find out during this last standard change, it has excellent resistance to the new radiant and conductive heat test.
Great.
Which is another huge safety feature when we're
Right.
manufacturing fire hose.
Which should be said that it is tested to the UL standard. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are the only premium fire hose right now that you can order with a UL listing on it.
And I think with also the Mertex lining, it's not completely puncture resistant, but that's one of the other things. Like every one of us has stretched a line into a house and come across like a glass slider or something like that.
Absolutely.
We're not going to have that kind of hose critical failure that would typically happen maybe with something that didn't have a Mertex lining in it. From that, it's going to get an extra abrasion resistance and everything else. So
We never like to use the word never, but what we have found over the course of the last 4 years since this whole testing started was, I don't want to use the word rupture or catastrophically fail, but what we have found and what we've been able to repeat again and again and again is when our hoses are subjected to that type of heat, they only start to sweat, they start to weep, and they actually start to protect themselves. And they will not catastrophically fail.
Love it. So let's hop into the one other aspect, kind of the things we're talking about here that separate you from the other manufacturers that are out there. But at the end of the day, the reason why we're here today is because of innovation, right? You had said before, Jamie, that you listen to the customers. Your team is out there, boots on the ground, listening to the feedback and looking for new opportunities and things that are needed to support the North American Fire Service. So let's talk about that. The innovation of Mercedes and how you guys can bring that forward to develop new products and ideas, which leads us to the Super 2 today.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about the commitment to innovation and how that works.
I've learned a lot. I've been with Mercedes for 17 years, and the first thing when I walk through the door is we're always innovating. We're not innovating for today, we're innovating for tomorrow.
Right.
And we listen to you guys. You guys come up and you either identify an issue or you identify an idea, and we run with it. And that's another huge advantage of being a private blue-collar company. So we like to say we manufacture innovation.
Right.
We deliver innovation, but rather it be on the Super 2 today or some of our wildland, some of our specialty industrial applications, we are always innovating. Always innovating, keeping our blade sharp.
And I think like what you've done with like the MegaFlow and stuff like that, and watching Andy Sadako from the Water Thieves use that, like it really speaks to the innovation, because I got to see him teach and use the product line, and it was just amazing to see the flow that's coming out of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Well, listen, you hit it. Rather it be on LDH or Super 2 here today, a new wildland pump, we're always innovating.
And I think the wildland conversation is really important too. As we sit here at FDIC in the booth, we have a great crowd tuning in to watch this, and a lot of people tuning in live as well. But what you can't see off camera is a whole nother booth for Mercedes Textiles that's dedicated to the wildland sector.
Yes.
Talk to me about the growth in that sector, because as we all know, we all watch the news, and if you're not directly involved in the wildland, there is no fire season anymore. That fire season is now 365 days a year.
It is.
So your commitment to that industry, as I found through conversation earlier, is a very large commitment to that wildland service.
Yeah, so we're here today. We're surrounded by this beautiful, lime green Super 2 hose, but everyone knows us at the FDIC for double jacket hose. But we are a huge global company.
Yeah.
So when it comes to wildland, I mean, South America, Indonesia, you think about some of these places where you say wildland fire, it doesn't have borders anymore. It's going all year long.
Got it.
So yeah, we're always innovating. New pumps, new wildland hoses, weeping hoses, non-weeping hoses. We are a huge global company.
Beautiful.
And the innovation doesn't stop here in North America. We're taking that all over the world.
Fantastic. Well, Jamie, thank you for hopping in, giving us a little background on Mercedes Textiles, the company, the brand, the commitment to firefighter safety, technology, and innovation.
Yeah, well,
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. We're going to have Jamie step out. We're going to bring in Dave and Kevin, and we're going to start talking about the KrakenEXO Super 2. We're going to get a little tight in here, guys, so come on in, have a seat.
That's it.
This is nice, rubbing elbows.
I know, I like it. I like it.
I love it. So, guys, welcome. Thanks for hopping in. I want to do some quick introductions. Lieutenant Dave Quick, Manchester, New Hampshire Fire Department, consultant with Mercedes Textiles. Dave and I and Rob, we've met several times now, have done some projects together. Most recently, we were down in Texas together at the Joey D Foundation. And where, again, the commitment of Mercedes Textiles and what you guys do in supporting conferences, supporting the hands-on, getting your product out there and letting firefighters put it in their hands, super important.
Yeah.
Dave, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Good. And then to my right, your left, Lieutenant Kevin Fluger out of the Live Oak, Texas Fire Department.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. This is my first time getting to meet you, chat with you, but I will tell you, in all the prep that was leading up to what we're doing today, it was a lot of fun, not only to learn about the Mercedes brand and your products, but also to get to know you guys, because I think what's important for a company is to have the pedigree of people that work on behalf of that company, have street smarts, have hands-on experience and knowledge within what you're talking about and what you're selling. And you guys certainly bring that to the table. So,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So let's hop into it, right? Why are we here? We're talking about the EXO, the KrakenEXO Super 2 line. It's a 2-inch hand line, freshly introduced today. Beautiful lime green color sitting in front of us. Dave, why don't we're going to start with you, or we're going to start with Kevin? Where do you want to go with this? You want to talk about the why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, Kevin can take that.
Yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
And I'll talk about the why for me specifically, and I think it's in line with what Mercedes believes in. The whole point of this is to be more effective on the fire ground, what we're doing with the fire hose, the capabilities to do better on the fire ground. And what this hose offers is that, in my own opinion. My department is going to this line specifically based on what we're promoting today with the maneuverability and everything it offers, of still the exact same flows of our 2.5-inch line, getting that with a little bit lighter hose, more maneuverability, and just working that process on the fire ground. That's the why I think that we're doing, and that's in line with what Mercedes is doing as well.
And so, go ahead.
I think when we talked in New Hampshire too, like the ability to get a hard-hitting line on the ground and into a structure, and we had a good conversation. Like, give us a little bit of the background on your department. You're a low manpower department, right?
Yes, sir.
So not the optimal staffing that we want, but you're running into everything from a shotgun shack to large McMansion. So when it comes to that there's that whole switch when we're trying to make a tactical decision. I hate using that phrase, but like we got to, are we doing this or are we doing that? Now you have this versatility coming in with this line. We had a really good discussion on it, like hit on that. Because I know for you that was a big thing, like especially with that wide open floor plan, right?
Correct. So, I mean, it's in the culture in my area, the 2.5-inch line, because of staffing of 3-man engines, meaning you're taking 2 guys interior. It's just intimidating. It's the big bad boogeyman in a sense. Like, people just don't want to grab it. They don't want to pick it up. They're scared of the nozzle reaction and everything else. And I know in my area, my department, we will use it on a residential structure if need be with the large fire flow, but realistically, I tell my guys that we hope to get in there 12 to 15 feet to get a punch on the fire, and then try to bring in a 7/8 or whatever it may be. And this specifically to us, it offers that maneuverability to still work multiple friction points now, not have to worry about bringing in another line, switching crews or whatever it may be, and taking this line to the seat of the fire with good tactics, good training, and working your friction points, and just what the hose adds in with the lightweight, it offers that for us.
Yeah, and if you think about it too, I mean, at the end of the day, right, when we have minimal staffing, a lot of times we always have to do more with less, right? So the problem is if we can design or have something that's going to allow the engine crew to be able to punch that fire in the face. I don't know how many times I've had conversations with engine companies where they just couldn't make that push.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just can't figure out why their line couldn't make that push, right? And then when you start talking about fire flows, hose and nozzle pairings and packages, they start to get a better picture. I think what we're lacking in the American Fire Service is a super education on numbers, statistics, and what works, right? Nozzle and hose pairings and so on. But what I like about what you said, Kevin, and it makes a lot of sense, it's with a minimal staffed company, if we can take a line that's going to give you that 2.5 flow in a 2-inch line, there's a lot of benefits there, especially with a 3-man engine company.
Without a doubt. And when you get into UL studies and all of that, you have to get water actually what's actually burning and get it inside and get it interior. And with that 2.5-inch line, with the restrictions of where you can get it, you're just truly not able to actually do that. So you're kind of just sitting there and you're delayed in putting the fire out, in my opinion. And once you involve with victims that possibly inside, and you're delaying that time of putting the fire out, it just doesn't make sense to me completely. So this offers that, just getting that water on the fire a lot quicker with that lower staffing.
Sure. Rob?
I also think of listening to Brian Butler talk about the commercial fire in a urban environment where I'm going to go into that bodega and he says it's Goya products on both sides of your shoulders and you're in that narrow way. So you're not going to necessarily get that 2.5 committed in a low manpower department, but like that Super 2, especially with the 1.5 couplings, might give you that versatility to move into that tight fitting environment. Or even like something that's a commercial structure that's just got, like what we saw out in Denver with the stacks of files and everything on sides. It's going to be that narrow alleyway or walkway that you got to get through with this hose. It's going to have the versatility to do that and still give you that flow to that commercial building.
So we're talking about the why, right? I mean, we're talking about 2.5 flows, 2-inch hose. What does that offer us? It's a lighter weight, right? We have more maneuverability, right? So these are all things that add to the benefits of a 2-inch line that is able to flow unrestricted to a 2.5 capacity.
Correct.
So let's talk about some other things too. Dave, maybe you want to hop in on this too. I know, you and I have chatted a few. You like the high rise.
Yeah.
You're a high rise guy. You
I
like
am.
sending water vertical. I don't. You do. Let's talk about
You also like the stairs.
I do take the stairs too. Yeah.
But let's talk about vertical applications and where you could see it fit for the Super 2 as well.
Sure. Yeah. I think that it's going to work really well in a couple different applications, especially one in the high-rise setting where you're going to use it as the last length, that leader length off of 2.5. So as you alluded to, it comes in both 1.5 couplings and 2.5 couplings. So if you buy it with that 2.5-inch couplings, it's gonna be real compatible in those kind of settings. The other thing we're noticing too is with some of the newer buildings going into the systems that are there, we're going to be able to maybe use all of this Super 2 as one entire package. So getting back to the staffing, when you're carrying and it's dry, it's still 2 pounds lighter to get upstairs. And when you're looking at climbing 8, 10, 12 floors, you know what? That couple pounds really makes a big difference, because once you get up there, you still have to be able to go to work.
And we're just time frame wise, a minute a floor essentially, right?
Yeah, that's what Chief McGrail says. That's
Right,
the
yeah.
reflex time.
So
you do that, and then you couple it with what just Kevin talked about, where it's weighing 40 pounds less per 50 feet when you charge it. You've now saved that weight climbing up, and now all of a sudden you're ready to go to work, and you got to move that line down. It's just going to be easier, and you're already a little bit winded, so it's going to help you get that water where you need it faster.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about the longer lines too, right? Sometimes we're running a leader line with a a tenement load or an extended lay bundle, right? Where we either go to a wire or a bell reducer. This can eliminate that as well, no?
Yeah, for sure. We're looking at, you could probably go to 400 to 600 feet with this hose flowing 265 gallons a minute, that, mid-range flow that we need for that floor of fire. And you're not pushing the upper limits of the pressures that are tolerable, or, the tolerance on your fire pump.
Yeah. The intimidation factor, when I start thinking about the conversations we're having here, right, I'm envisioning, a lot of, Kevin, you mentioned before the McMansions, shotgun shacks to McMansions, right? So you're talking small square footage to very large square footage. Well, typically the McMansions have wide open spaces, right? We have engineered construction and lumber. So we're talking advanced fire load on arrival. We're talking heavy fire on arrival, right? And not only that, we're talking large square footage. Too often, I think, the suburban and rural engine companies are afraid to pull that 2.5 because we don't train with it enough. This might offer, Kevin, give me a little feedback on this. This might offer an option for that engine company.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we are currently building out an engine right now with talking about long lines, a 400-foot pre-connect off the back because of the pump capabilities, and it's still where we're at with friction loss in this line. But it does offer that. We look at it for small commercial, big commercial, smaller square footage, open concept homes like you're discussing, where you do, it comes down to BTUs and water you need to put on the actual fire. So you can choose not to pull that bigger line, which doesn't happen in our area overall because of the weight of the line, but you're not going to be successful at what you're doing on the fire ground if you're not putting the appropriate GPMs on that fire. And this just makes it, when you get to handling this hose, when you put it on the ground by the 2.5-inch line, it truly handles more of like an 1 3/4 line. When we're talking maneuverability and how we're able to move it around and get it to certain places, it legitimately moves more like an 1 3/4 line instead of the big, bulky 2.5-inch line. So when we're talking about getting into these bigger open floor plans or down a hallway with the multiple friction points, it's just there's the concern's not there. It's not there at all in my opinion.
Can we hit on two real quick? I don't know if we're jumping ahead, but like the nozzle package, what has to happen with this? Because one of the things that I think could happen is somebody could say, all right, I have this, especially if it's coming coupled in 2.5, I have this nozzle that I've always used on the 2.5. What could be a pitfall of that assumption that this 2.5 nozzle is going to work on this? Because what nozzle do we want on the end of the Super 2 in that pairing?
So when we get into Freeman's ratio, where your orifice is supposed to be half the size of your hose, the 1 1/8 pair is pretty much perfect with this hose, which with the Freeman's ratio will give that appropriate back pressure in that line, so how the line's actually handling, and just the feet per second of what the water's coming out of that nozzle itself. So we're pairing it with the 1 1/8. We're already using the 1 1/8. We're already getting the flows of 265, 264 in that area. So we're getting the exact same water, the exact same punch. We're not having to take a step back with anything. We're not losing waters. We're not losing flows.
And I know the other day during some of the hot training, the 1 1/16 was also
correct.
People were having a lot of positive stuff with that. And as far as the maneuverability and how the hose felt in the hand. So
yeah. And some guys, they look at the 1 1/16 where they're thinking, hey, if I can't get it done with 240, 265, it's really not going to make a difference if you're putting the water in the right place. And that is completely correct. You do get a little bit less nozzle reaction when you do go to that, or you can overpump that 1 1/16 at 60 and still get those same 250, 255 range of GPM flow. So I respect those guys that use that 1 1/16. I've flown enough with it where it makes sense. And if people are that educated where they have a way and a reason on why they're doing it, hey, you go for it. It will work.
The fun conversation we had yesterday with a couple guys was, that in today's fire service with hose technology and nozzle technology, a 1/16 of an inch matters.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild when you start thinking about things
from where
like that.
It came from.
Absolutely. Let's talk, before we start getting into the flows and everything else, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some other important things that people require in their hose lines.
Yeah.
Fire flow is huge, right? Sure. Pumping it, flowing, it's all important stuff. But Kevin, you mentioned maneuverability. Let's talk about packability too. This line needs to be and check the boxes for multiple criterias.
Sure, and its packability is good, and it's real important. If you notice on the Super 2, we've incorporated our breather technology that we use on our large diameter, and what that means as far as packability goes is this. when we always recommend that you roll this hose prior to repacking it, right? It's already got a really tight weave, so we want to get that kind of broken down a little bit, get the water out, get the air out. By rolling it and having these breather strips, what ends up happening is you get rid of the water and the air that sits between your inner jacket and your outer jacket. So now when you put it back on, it packs really, really nicely. That leads to really good deployment. Right, so if that hose is packed in there, we got a sticker that's out today. It says "packs pretty, pulls pretty." I think we'd all agree as firefighters that how we pack our hose is directly related to how well it comes off the rig.
Yeah.
So now you take this sort of smaller hose, and we're seeing a lot of folks building bundles. We're seeing them put it in a Minuteman load. It's sitting nice on their shoulder. It's not too high. They still have that good visibility, and because it's not so wide, it's sitting there real good, and it's really deploying like more like an 1.75 inches than it is a 2.5.
And I do know firsthand too that your Kraken 1.75 packs very well.
Yep.
It is a very nice line that deploys well, packs well, drains well.
Yep.
It's a good product for sure. Let's move into some of the other conversations then, because people are going to want to know some stats and statistics.
Sure.
I'm not a number guy. I hate Excel spreadsheets. I hate charts. Like, I really do, man. I'm like, simple math,
Yeah.
But we have Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's going to run us through some numbers.
I kind of like the numbers.
Ultimately, I mean, that's what's important, right?
Yep.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's get into it, Dave. Take me through it in the simplest form possible so we don't get lost. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. So we talked about it being listed as a 2-inch line, so it's a little bit of an oversize.
Right.
Right. So its dry ID is about 1 1/8 inches, and when we charge it with water, it goes to about a 2.25, so a 2.25 inch hose. The friction loss numbers are really good on there. Again, it allows us to get to that 400 to 600 feet if we want to, and it's going to maybe allow us to get into some of those hybrid standpipe packs that we talked about earlier on as well. We like to talk about the flow range of this hose being between 210 and 300 GPM. And that comes down to, we believe as a company, that you should pick your hose and nozzle package based on what works for you and your community.
Right.
So instead of saying, hey, we recommend only these 2 nozzles, we'd rather give you the flow range. So the flow range is 210 to 300, but we're really targeting that 240 to 265. And how you decide to get there, that's up to you and your department and what's best for you. At those friction losses, we're right around 25 pounds per 100 at 240 and 265. They're close. They're within 3 pounds, and I don't want to bore the audience, and it'll be on the technical
he's taking
data.
notes, so if you need to hear that
I'm going to hit him up afterwards. We already started chatting, so
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
No, that's fantastic, brother. Absolutely, because that's what this is about, right? Like, we need this. For me, the reason why we're here today is to simplify that, right? To bring this conversation and how important the conversation is, but bring it to that backstep firefighter for them to really understand. What you said a lot right there, but I think the beautiful part, hey Ryan, the beautiful part about that is that we need to understand the importance of proper pairing and testing and designing hose and nozzle packages for your first do.
How many of us have fallen victim to that fire chief who doesn't
We all
care,
have.
and they just bought whatever was cheapest, and now we have this mixed match bag, and it doesn't work. So it's super important for us to have this out there for that backstep guy to understand.
Yeah.
I thought you brought up a really good point there. I am definitely a numbers guy, and I love it, and even the guys at work, that's what I get hammered on all the time. But at the end of the day, what you said about testing, right? We can go through all the numbers and everything else, and it's good to have an idea of that. But at the end of the day, what I like to tell my guys is, let's go out, let's get the real number, the real pump discharge pressure number, because I don't want you to sit there and have to do math, right? I really want you to be able to troubleshoot and let me know when I'm going to run into an issue inside more than I care about it. And I think it's good to have that balance. Know the numbers so you can figure out how it's going to work for you, but then go out and test it and make sure that it does. And once you do, sort of put that to the side and really focus on its use, its packability, its deployability, its maneuverability, and all those other things.
Fantastic. Let's talk about something that's super unique too. I talked with Jamie before about your coupling.
Yeah.
Well, on the Super 2, there's a unique coupling design, right?
There is.
Because what we can do on this 2-inch line is we can bring it down to an 1.5-inch coupling or 2.5-inch coupling.
Yep.
Talk to me about the design and why.
Sure. So our engineers are top notch, right? I'm always impressed with what they can do and what they come out with. Somehow they designed and engineered an 1.5-inch coupling that will give you the same flow with the same friction loss as it would a 2.5-inch coupling. They've done some tapering on the inside. They've made it a smoother transition. you brought up another point earlier that it kind of likens it to. We talked about those leader lines and having a reducer.
Right.
Instead of having that flatter pancake that you might see in a regular 2-inch hose that goes to an 1.5-inch coupling, they're able to reduce that and taper it like a bell, which makes that smoother transition.
Right.
It slows the water down, and it gives you that same loss as you do the 2.5.
Yeah, I think the idea. The conversation of it too, to be able to take an 1.5 or a 2.5-inch coupling and still get the same flow rates, right?
Yeah.
Impressive, because you guys redesigned. I think it's now the 1.5-inch coupling is a 5-piece coupling that was re-engineered and built specifically for this line, right?
It is specific for this line, yeah.
What I like about that though is what we talked about earlier, and I have a note here: the fear of the 2.5, the reluctance to pull that 2.5 all the time. But if it's coupled, it's not a science thing. It's just a mental thing. When you're looking at that line, that 2.5-inch coupling is intimidating versus that 1.5-inch coupling.
Yeah.
Don't fear the coupling, man.
Right, right. We're sitting here too watching, and off screen we have a couple bundles over here. Everybody's walking by and picking it up, and I'm watching them pick it up, and they're just like literally just picking it up. Yep. You said what per 50? How much lighter?
Yeah,
than
so
a 2.5.
So and this is our hose specific. Our Super 2 is about 40 pounds lighter when you charge it per 50 feet than a 2.5-inch charged.
Considerable.
Huge.
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild. All right, what else did we miss? We've had a great conversation flowing through here. We got a lot to talk about. The launch of this product's exciting for you guys. How do we educate the consumer? You guys are on the road.
Yeah.
What can they do? How can people find you? If they want to look at your Super 2 or any of the other Kraken lines or anything else that you guys have out there, let's talk about that real quick.
Sure. So they can reach out via the website. We do have an open forum where they can send in and request some information. And what that'll do is the folks in Montreal will get them in touch with the local distributor or the regional salesperson from that area. And then what happens is they'll sort of work with them to get the product out there. Our distributors have done a really great job of buying into this new product, and they're going to have that available out there. So get a hold of whoever your local person is, set up a time, and what they'll do sometimes, if there's an overflow, Kevin and I might take a ride out to see you as well.
Yeah.
And we'll look at all of it. At the end of the day, what we do is we just try to help educate folks on behalf of Mercedes. You said consultant, and we like that word because we're just trying to offer the best hose for what your department's trying to do. We try to help you look at that attack package from supply all the way to the smallest hand line, forestry, standpipe, any of those kinds of things, and hopefully you get what works best for you.
Fantastic.
Well, and one of the advantages of having you guys come out is that you can't sell the hose to the customer.
No.
So your vested interest is making sure the customer is well informed.
Yeah.
When they're well informed, then they can make a decision. If the decision's not with you, that's all right. You still help them. We've helped them make it. We want it to be with you, but it's one of those things.
Yeah.
And that's because oftentimes people think that you're the sales guy, and you're not. You're here to give information and to help everybody get to that point so that they can figure out what product is going to be the perfect one for them.
Yeah, I make that more clear than ever when I start conversations with individuals. We're not getting no quotas. We are firemen. We're not salesmen. And we're able to shoot them direct. We give them that kind of viewpoint, things they need to consider. Hey, what's important to you? Is it how it handles? Is it maneuverability? Is it kinking? Is it the heat testing that's done? We're able to give that direction for these individuals and just shoot them straight and get them the best, get them set up for their department the best we can.
Fantastic. Dave, what did we miss?
I would say let's talk a little bit about apparatus design. We're seeing a lot more speedlays. And folks are looking at some of these different attack packages, and one of the issues that they're running into is, hey, I really want to go to 2-inch hose, and most of the 2-inch hose that's on the market is 2.5-inch couplings, and they're having a hard time getting those into the trays.
That's a very good point.
So, one of the things that this hose brings is a smaller coupling that may help you into those trays. Same thing when you're speccing out your rig. Regardless of the manufacturer, ask them what those flat widths are and those bend widths. Make sure that you get the hose and make sure that it's going to fit where you want it to. Because the last thing you want to do is do this huge study, get the exact product you want, only to find out that you get it on the rig and now it doesn't fit the way that you want it to. So do that homework ahead of time.
It's a very, very good point.
We were walking around and we saw some of the apparatus had a shorter hose bed as well, and we were having that discussion the other day. This shorter hose bed, but it's lower. But how does this match up as you're racking this line and everything?
Sure.
Well, I mean, absolutely, right? So that's a big item of contention for me is like when guys are expecting engines and they want to go to a lower hose bed. So now we're doing L-shaped tanks, so that's great. But we're going from a 10-foot long hose bed to a 6-foot long hose bed, or even a 5.5-foot hose bed, right? So what happens is if you're used to stretching that 200 line or 250 off the rear, and you have, say, 12 folds, right? Now you're going to go to like 20 folds. So your nozzle man's going to have to grab more loops, your backup's going to have to grab more loops. And well, guess what? The rest of America doesn't have a control fireman or a 4th or 5th guy on the back step. So you're asked to do more and to deploy differently because you wanted a lower hose bed. But oh, by the way, because you have to put more folds in because it's shorter, it pushes the hose right back up anyway.
Right where it goes, where it was. Yep.
You know, but Dave, you made a very good point. I never thought about that, and I'm going to. For people that know what we do a lot of apparatus stuff, and apparatus innovations is very important to us.
Good.
What you brought up is so smart about the couplings. Like, I didn't even think of that. You know, with the 2-inch line, if we could put, you know, we've always talked about the flat width of the line so we can develop our, you know, hose beds to be accordingly. But nobody ever talked about the lugs on the 2.5 coupling, if you will, right?
Yeah. You want to touch on that? The lugs on the 2.5?
Before we do, we're going to actually just pause for a second, and we're going to stream in a second video here from Mercedes. It's going to come into the stream about some of the specs in the hose.
Okay.
And then we'll come right back into that.
Introducing the KrakenEXO Super 2, the most advanced 2-inch attack hose. The Super 2 is a 2-inch hose engineered to deliver targeted flows of 210 to 300 gallons per minute with 25 to 30% less weight than a standard 2.5-inch line. That's up to 40 pounds lighter per 50 feet, up to 160 pounds over a 200-foot line. That's maximum water with minimum weight, which means more maneuverability at a more manageable size. Featuring Mercedes' patented breather technology for increased flexibility, strength, and packability. And available with either 1.5-inch or 2.5-inch way-out couplings, designed for increased flow and safety. The KrakenEXO Super 2 is ideal for advanced interior attacks, standpipe operations, and limited manpower situations. It's time to advance the line. It's time to evolve the 2.5-inch attack. It's time to fight the fire, not the hose. The KrakenEXO Super 2, the most advanced 2-inch attack hose.
Seb, we're back. And we're back.
All right. So we're just going to hit on some couplings and some stuff.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, the truth be told, right, when you're doing live stuff like this and we're cutting in with videos, I was supposed to do that about 20 minutes ago. So Rob saved my butt there, and sorry, Kevin, that we cut you off.
You're good.
But let's circle back, like Rob just said. Let's circle back and talk about the lugs. Talk to me.
Yeah, as we're getting into detail on these couplings, again, we talked about how beneficial it is to build them in-house. So Mercedes was able, with these couplings on the actual lug itself, to kind of transition the ends a little bit smoother. So when you're worried about getting hung up on friction points or hitting, you know, the frame of the door coming through, there's a less chance of it getting hung up. And the main thing they did as well on this hose, on what's important on the 2.5-inch coupling is on the male end where the thread is, it's known that these can get beat up. Well, they've put an external ring that's just kind of broad that goes around it. So when you're unrolling it or whatever it may be, it protects those from getting beat up, which, I mean, obviously, if you beat those up, you're not able to connect your hose in the long run. So just a little protection factor, that small detail that Mercedes took pride in protecting it and kind of just taking care of an issue that they've seen have happened in the past.
Fantastic.
And I think if I could add
go ahead,
on there,
please.
Because of that protection and not having those big lugs, it reduces the chance of catching on the pinch points as you're going around. So it makes a little smoother transition. It might make your advance a little better.
Fantastic. And then I know, too, when we cut to the video, we were having a little sidebar conversation. Something we didn't hit on, too, Kevin. Let's talk about the hand grip, the width of the hose and what that does for you.
Yeah, so that's one of the key things to me on this hose. When I talk about being lightweight, we do a lot of engine ops training at our department in the area. When you grab that 2.5-inch line, I mean, first off, the weight. Sometimes you can't get that thing. It seems like it's glued to the ground almost. With this smaller diameter, you're just able to actually just pick it up. It's lighter weight, and you're actually just able to get a better grip on it, no matter what positioning you're doing. If it's the backup person as a heel, or the nozzle man itself, you're just able to actually grab it. And through doing a hose study and nozzle study, I saw that was something important. It directed the direction we went with Mercedes specifically of how it fit in people's hands that had maybe smaller hands, or just you have different upper body strength people, you know, so that smaller diameter in that hose and matched with the lighter weight, that's where, when we're talking maneuverability, that's a key concept to me, a key point that makes this just, you're able to be more effective and actually move it. Us specifically, how we teach the heel position with that big, bulky 2.5, when you're getting worn out, it's hard to sometimes keep a grip on it.
Right.
This hose specifically, you're able to actually grab it and maneuver, just handle it a lot better.
Hose straps, webbing, right? These are all things that we're taught.
You don't have to worry about none
and then
of
we
that.
find all the different cute ways that we can throw it over our shoulder, spin around, like all these things, right? Because we have to take up the reaction force and the weight of that 2.5. Whereas on this 2-inch line, if we can still get that 2.5-inch flow on a lighter, 40 pounds. I mean, that should be reiterated. Go ahead, Rob.
And also, like going back to low manpower departments, how many times have we been on a line by ourselves and we've hit it, shut the line down, we got a little lift, now we got to hump that forward and move it forward. I think that's going to be really cool to see the Super 2 in action in that scenario where it's one or two guys, like you said, you're going inside because you have to, because the citizens don't hire you to watch your house burn. And you can actually pick that hose up and start moving it down. The guy can help out from the doorway, that chauffeur, that working chauffeur, right? Who's on the pump panel, he's looking at the flow, and then he's back to the door, helping hike some hose through.
It's reality.
And that's what's going on. So it's, you know.
And no matter how you do it, if you're the nozzleman and you're grabbing that thing by the bell, you're going to shut down and grab it to hump it forward, or if you're going to do some type of clamp slide or whatever it may be, again, just the less weight and everything else, you're going to be more effective in what you're doing on that line. You're going to get around better.
Fantastic. I love it. Gentlemen, I think we hit a lot of key points here about the Super 2. I think this has been great. It's our first time working with you guys. First time you guys are really on camera, I think, too, right? I mean, that's, full disclosure. So you guys crushed it, man. It was a fantastic conversation. Where can people find the information? They can find it online, right? They can reach out to Mercedes.
They can, yeah. I would say, so our marketing director's here. She's fantastic. Lydia,
Absolutely.
I'll give her a shout out.
100%.
If it wasn't for her, I don't think we'd have this partnership. We probably wouldn't have this awesome event that we got going on all week. But follow her on Instagram, follow Mercedes on Instagram, Facebook. I don't do most of that stuff, but I understand a lot of people do. No, she does a great job. And she, come see her because she's the face behind that. And website for us old folks.
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook, all that for the younger folks, maybe.
Talk to the dealer network. Call
Absolutely.
Mercedes Direct. They'll put you in touch with your local rep if you're not familiar. Get out there and try different things. I can't stress that enough. Get out there and flow water. Get out there and stretch lines. The most important thing you can do. Fellas, thank you very much for hopping in.
Right.
Kevin, I appreciate it.
Thanks
Dave,
for having
thank
us.
you.
This was great.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rob.
Jamie, we're going to call you back in.
Jamie,
And fellas, thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
going to do a quick set change here.
Beautiful. Have a seat, my man.
All
You're
right.
back in the hot seat.
Back.
So listen, we wanted to bring you back in. We started with you. We're going to end with you.
Love it.
But we're not going to end you because we love you.
All right.
What we talked about in the beginning, I want to reiterate, and that's why we're bringing it back around, right? The commitment Mercedes has to firefighter safety, technology advancement, and innovation.
Yes.
Hit on it again.
Listen, can't say it enough. We manufacture and deliver innovation, and we're proud, 45 plus years in the industry. We're innovating for tomorrow, and we want to be here talking about this in another 45 years. The company's in great hands, and we're proud of our relationships with you guys.
Absolutely.
You look at all these people that have been dropping by, and our commitment to the North American Fire Service, or global fire service,
100%.
is to continue rolling out with these amazing, innovative products, safety first. We always have tricks up our sleeves. Even though we're talking about Super 2 today, we're already in development with other products, whether it be wildland, fire hose, industrial hose. We are always going to keep on innovating.
Jamie, I want to ask you this because I want to be personal about the company and your relationship with them. What's the one thing that you are, like, you don't talk about it in a brochure, you don't talk about it when you're meeting with some of the different people that you're going to shake hands with at the show today, but like, what are you proud of when you look at your position in Mercedes and you look at what the company's done and accomplished?
Well, you got to like what you're doing, number one, and we all like coming to work every day.
It helps.
But But it's my colleagues. It's Bob Richardson. A lot of people even today, everyone has delivery issues, whether it be raw material shortages, personnel shortages. Let's face it, we're still dealing with a little bit of COVID stuff. But people say, why are you guys innovating when you can't even deliver what you got on your plate right now? You always have to be innovating. And again, we have a plan. It might not be on any paper, but we do have a vision. Yeah. We have a plan. We know we were going to be today. We know we're going to be tomorrow. And it is a very personal company. Relationships. Yeah. I can't say it enough. I was shaking hands with accounts and friends that I remember dealing with 15 years ago. They're back again to replace hose that 15 years ago. Yep. So it's a great atmosphere at Mercedes. Proud, humble, and we love it.
That's awesome.
Great colleagues, great friends, great teammates.
Good. Well, listen, I thank you for your trust and belief in us to partner up on this adventure together. We're going to be coming back live again at 3 o'clock this afternoon with Ray McCormick. We're going to talk about the Mercedes Textiles products as well as engine company operations with one of the biggest names in the industry when it comes to moving water. Yes. And we're looking forward to that conversation. And Jamie, thank you. To Lydia and the team at Mercedes, I mean, this has just been wonderful. And
it's a pretty fun first day. Yeah, Lydia, come on in here.
You got to come around the back, though. So Lydia, we talked about it before with the guys, Dave and I'm drawing a blank, Kevin. We talked about it before, and they said, I threw it to them. I said, how do we find out more about the product line and everything else? And they threw it right to you, and they said, Lydia is the brains behind everything social for what we do. And so we wanted to get you out here for you to say hello.
Hi.
She's the one you want to reach out to. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other channels that are out there. They put their product out. They want to educate and build a community on knowledge of the product and what you guys do.
And responsive on Instagram. So if you send Lydia a message it's at Mercedes Textiles, she will be getting back to you. And if she doesn't know, she will get the information to you.
Absolutely. That's what I'm there for. Yeah, I look forward to meeting everybody at FDIC. So definitely come by here, or let's, meet up later for drinks. Let's, we're gonna have a great time this week, and if you send me a message, I will definitely love to chat.
Good. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions after this quick hour that we did. So if you have the questions, please direct them in the comments below. Mercedes Textiles will get back to you, and send them a DM, give a phone call, send an email. They'll get back to you with any questions that you might have. If you're at FDIC, 4950, 4951, we're right here. Come see us. We're here today and tomorrow and Saturday.
I am here Saturday, yes.
Beautiful.
We have some giveaways, so make sure you swing into the booth for that.
Yeah, and make sure to scan the little QR code at the front and get registered, because there's so much swag in that bag. It's going to be amazing.
Very good.
I love the alliteration of that.
I know that rhymed. I was amazed. I was surprised by myself.
Well, guys, thank you very much, and thank you for having us here and sharing some space with us today and talking about your brand new product that you just launched. Looking forward to it. So thank you for everyone for tuning in live today. This will continue to play on the channels. Please check it out if you didn't have an opportunity to watch it live today. For myself, Jeremy, and Rob with National Fire Radio, thanks for tuning in from FDIC 2022, Indianapolis, Indiana. Have a good day. We'll see you back.